Good morning, my friends. Welcome to the Renew podcast. Here we are on May the 4th, which Whitney is sporting her Star Wars shirt. I did not have a Star Wars shirt to sport today.
Okay, well, while you're finding
and I actually have to go to a funeral this afternoon, so I apologize. So I'm not in Star Wars attire for all of you guys Star Wars fans out there. My apologies, and May the 4th be with you.
Well, while you're trying to find me some lightsaber earrings, I'll try to find a shirt for you. I'm really feeling Princess Leia.
I could have done the hair this morning. That would have been fun.
I mean, Princess Leia is kind of a bad A.
All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today, my friend. Mm-hmm. Because we were going to talk about this last week. It got pushed out a week. Thanks to Atlanta, but we're here. We are here now, and we are diving in because
it's still a hot topic.
It is still a hot topic. You think the people want to know? Tell them what we're talking about today, Whitney.
I don't know. I feel like maybe drag it out a little bit more. Okay, so you all know, if you've been longtime listeners to the show, or Kristen, we are fans. Mm-hmm. Followers, yes. Admirers of the Miss Rachel Hollis.
Yes.
However,
our little miss, our girl, stopped apologizing, had to start apologizing.
She did. Yep. She did. And rightfully so. I think she owed some apologies.
I do too. And it kind of... All right, but I took a little different take. So yes. Explain the story, because you probably explain it better than me. Okay. Because you read the article first.
I did. So essentially, Rachel went on TikTok and did a video. There was something about how she had been live and somehow got to talking about someone coming to her house, cleaning her house, cleaning her toilets.
Yes.
To which someone commented that, oh, you're privileged, or whatever the case is. And Rachel's like, well, I worked my ass off to be this privileged, and I don't want to be relatable, because the commenter came back and said that you're unrelatable. And so she went on to talk about how she doesn't want to be relatable, how she gets up at 4 a.m. and she works really hard, and most people are not willing to do that. However, in the comments... the caption of her video, she went on to name individuals such as Harriet Tubman, Frida Kahlo,
Oprah
Winfrey. Yeah. Yes.
And she named them because she said they were not relatable. That was the context that she was naming, correct?
Correct.
And the interwebs went a little cray-cray.
Yes.
So there's two things I want to talk about this, because when you sent me the article, I was like, okay, I get my girl. I mean, okay. We all say things that just come out the wrong way.
Yes.
Okay? Maybe not in the caption. In the caption, you're supposed to reread it 18 times and have your friends read it. But
then that's good to get their response.
Correct.
Yes, that's
good. But we all say things that just come out wrong. So... that's one thing. We're going to talk about that. But the thing that really stuck out to me is because I am a fan of Rachel's. I was a little mad at you, girl, though. Sis, I got to tell you, after the divorce and you immediately publishing I didn't see that coming. As a woman who's been divorced, you saw it coming. Everyone sees it coming.
I mean, and it felt like the divorce was announced one day, and like a week later, this book was announced. Like
Correct.
The timing on that, I don't think
I know, and I will say this, and because I go online and I say things I either don't mean or that come out wrong, so I get that. I will say I don't know Rachel personally, girl. You can call me, we'll talk this out, but I don't know her personally. And that's one of the things I always say, if you don't know somebody, it's hard to judge them because you don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
So I still feel empathy for her, because I've been through that. It's not an easy time, and she's doing it in a very public spotlight. And, but what kind of stuck me with this whole thing is, the bigger thing to me was, she's like, sis, I'm trying, because her word is sis. She's like, sis, I'm trying, I don't want to be relatable. And that's where it got me in my feels a little bit, because my whole goal with the podcast and the work I do and our coaching and our Renew community, everything is to help people.
Yes.
you can't help people unless you can relate to them.
100%.
And that was the bigger issue I had with the whole thing.
Yes.
I will give her a buy. And granted, I'm probably in the same, I guess, demographic as her, but a little older. I'll give her a buy on kind of making some bad comments, because you have to look at where people's heart is when they make them. I don't think she was trying to compare herself to Harriet Tubman or Oprah. I don't know. I don't know her. Maybe she was. But she was saying she's not relatable. I think people should try to be relatable.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's talk the blunder first, because you guys at Liger Partners, because you guys manage, y'all manage me online or in podcasts and a lot of other people.
Yeah,
and that's you're a marketing agency.
Yes.
So people are gonna say and do things that just don't land.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Well, and that's where having a plan is ideal, right? Like planning out your content. And that doesn't mean that you can't go on and do some serendipitous things. But so being an influencer and being online and being in the spotlight, number one, even before social media exists, let's take the CEO, right?
Right.
Everyone is always watching you.
Yes.
The thing with social media is we just now have more places to watch you. And it is more of an everyday behind the scenes thing. So you are going to say things that don't land well. Part of what's happening, I feel, with Rachel is she's had a lot of those lately, kind of in a row.
Yep.
The other thing that I don't think she considered when she put the caption out there is the caption felt a little bit disconnected from what she was talking about in the video. And the playing fields to me are different, right? So let's take the Harriet Tubman, for example. Harriet Tubman worked very hard, but it was a completely different, she worked hard and risked her life for others, which is different than getting up at 4 a.m.
Correct.
And, working out twice a day. So those two playing fields are just completely different.
Absolutely. Also
different times. So I don't think that Rachel considered that when she presented it that way.
Right.
But again, going back to her influencer persona, because this continues to impact her, right? So we were talking about this, I feel like a month ago.
Yeah.
One of the most recent articles was from the New York Times. It was 4 days ago because now she's having to postpone the next Rise conference.
So she had her big conference plan and they punted it off until I think September, October, I believe.
And she had a couple of her speakers come back and say that they were going to step down and not speak at that particular event.
So there's a couple of people commenting on Facebook, and Lynn says, I think her whole shtick is that she's relatable. Love your shirt, Whitney.
Thank you.
Well, Lynn, I agree, because that's why I liked her so much. I'm like, she's like a girlfriend. She's like somebody we could hang out with and do wine night. When I finish my 75 hard, because can't do wine night yet. But she was totally relatable.
Yeah.
And so that's what stuck with me is, I think she blundered, and we'll stay on that for a minute. But what I really want to get to is, I was disappointed. She says, "I don't want to be relatable," because then how do you help people?
Well,
that was my bigger thing.
Well, and so I think that's the other kind of underlying thing here is that it feels like she's taking steps backwards. So as an example, part of what catapulted her influencer status, because she already had a career and things like that. Yeah. She posted that picture in her bikini
with the stretch marks.
With her stretch mark. That is 100% relatable.
And that's how Jenna Kutcher, I love Jenna Kutcher, who's actually, I think they're all connected somehow, her friends. But she did the same thing. She posted a picture of her in a bathing suit with her husband, and her husband happens to be very into fitness, really, ripped six pack, and she's an average size woman. And the internet blew up. Everybody and they responded so well to it. And he's like, this is my wife and I love her, and it doesn't matter. And their career's taken off that because they're relatable. Yeah. Now she does have good content behind it. And Rachel has excellent content as far as, lifestyle strategies and things like that. I just feel like I was a little sad. Well, it's a little sad that she didn't want to be relatable to people.
It's coming off as she's forgotten who she is, where she started. She's starting right now. Mm-hmm. She's coming across as, look at all this that I have done.
Yeah.
And now I am here and it's on a different level. But the people who first saw that image also bought this first book and the second book and the third book. And they're still the ones that are watching you now.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like you were in high school and Rachel was like, I've grown and I don't, you know what, I'm doing different things and I don't want to be relatable anymore.
Well, if you grow and outgrow friend groups, right, that I get that. But being relatable, everybody should always be relatable. So let's take another one, because I think that's what was the challenging thing for me is, and I am not at that, I'm not at Rachel Hollis level. I want to be, y'all, buy the stuff so we can.
We're working on
but
it.
But here's the thing is, I don't ever want to lose touch with people. Like let's take, so we're in Atlanta. You guys know I do follow Sarah Blakely as well, the founder of Spanx. Uber relatable. She's posting videos of making pancakes.
Yes.
Her kids are getting pretty good at the pancake making too. She posts videos of that. She got her van stuck in the garage at Target the other day. I mean, she's so related because it's all the goofy stuff that we do that you don't look at her and think, oh my God, she's a CEO of a founder of a $1 billion company. She's got $1 billion net worth with a B. And she's getting her van stuck at Target because it was too tall. Yeah. So that's relatable. And I'm not encouraging you guys to go get your van stuck. I'll leave that to me. But I think she probably has someone come and clean her house too. She just not talking about it.
And
you know what? I'm not bashing that. I've had people come and take.
And I'm like, how did that even get to be part of the conversation? So
I think it was the way I understood the way it was put, because she said the lady that cleans my toilets. And that's not, come on.
Yeah. That was
like if you're going to have people come in and housekeepers and come help or nannies or whoever you have, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things is you've got to know, I'm a business strategist at the end of the day. So if I need that help at home to make me run my business better, that's totally fine. Totally fine. But if it's just about understanding that not everybody shares your background, you don't have to share the same background and bank accounts and everything like that to be relatable to people.
Right.
And that's where I feel like that's what had me most aggravated. I still love you, girl, but that's what had me aggravated.
So Lynn commented as saying exactly, she should be the everyday woman, and she says also elitist doesn't look good on her.
Elitist, she's not, because she's.
Good morning, Wendy too. So
I don't think it looks good on anybody. Lynn, you've got a good point. I don't think it looks good on anybody. Because it just makes it sound like that you're too good. I don't ever, that's when I start kind of getting turned off by people, and she did quote Oprah saying, I'm not, I want to be like Oprah, Oprah's not relatable. I think Oprah's pretty down to earth. I don't know. I've never met her either. Come on over, girl. Let's talk. But I think she's pretty down to earth. Like the people that and maybe it's just me, but I love relatable. I love the fact that, I don't know, that I can just kind of see little bits of me in other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
And you've also got to understand that what's important to you isn't necessarily important to everybody else.
Yeah. Well, 100% right.
Right.
And, I think what Rachel was trying to communicate is success is hard work.
Yes.
And there are things, in order to achieve certain levels of success, you have to do that in any other part in, your career, like starting out, you have to take it to the next level.
Yep.
And I think her delivery of saying that is what kind of fell a little bit flat.
Fell a little flat.
Yeah.
So people that are listening that do a lot of media, because I know a lot of the people that listen to our show they're on TikTok and Instagram and doing reels, because we talked about reels last week at our community event, learning all kind of stuff about that. But how can people make sure that they're being relatable and not being, dare I say the D word? I can't say that on the air. Right? Am I allowed to say that?
I mean, sure. This is
quit being a douche on social media.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
this ain't
that's
radio.
Really what it is. But we're going to get banned from the internet. But that's really it. Is be relatable. Don't be a jerk. But how can people do that and make sure they're not offending anybody? I mean, I think that when you start comparing yourself to somebody else, that's the biggest way to offend somebody.
Well, and it's like when you get upset about something, you cannot go in the comment section, drop a bomb, and I'm totally stealing this from a Sunday morning message that we heard earlier last Sunday, but the preacher was like, you can't go in the comments, drop a bomb, let it explode, and walk away. Yeah. What does that solve? Yep. Nothing. And that's what we're doing on social media right now. So it's just like,
I'm not doing that. Other people are doing that.
Okay, we're gonna talk offline. Just kidding. But think about it first.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, though, Kristen. You think about it. And oftentimes you, what I like about what you do is you examine both sides and you listen to the conversation and then state your opinion about it.
Yes.
And there's also a difference between informing and then trying to get you to convert to my belief system. I'm going to share with you what I think and why.
Right.
But I'm not like going to quit talking to you because you like blue and I like red.
Isn't that what social media, and this goes back to the Rachel thing too. She lost, I think I read in one of the articles, 100,000 followers like immediately after
people
this
just
contact.
Went and stopped following her.
And people, you guys, if y'all love on her for that long, I mean, if she truly offended you, it's absolutely your prerogative. That's a lot of followers to use for one comment. And frequently I'll hear things and, this has happened. I've followed Tony Robbins because Sean, my ex-husband, worked with him for a number of years. And I've seen videos of him where they took a teeny little clip out of an entire conversation and totally blew it out of context. And the little clip was what was posted, and people react to the little bombs without having the whole story.
Right. So I think if it's coming from someone else, that's a little bit different because the audience, if you're going to be a follower of someone, you have to understand that things are going to be taken out of context.
Oh, for sure.
I think the part that's hurting Rachel right now is going back to that she's had a couple of strikeouts in the same game. Yeah. And so with this recent one is where they said, okay, we're not going to do this next rise. We're going to take back. And she said, I'm not going to do this conference. I'm going to re-examine my content. Okay. She probably should have done that a couple of missteps ago, because that's another thing with when you do make a mistake,
right?
Owning up to it, but then kind of
owning up to it right away.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Immediately.
Yes.
And then you do have to go quiet for a little bit. You can't just turn right back around and essentially make the same mistake you just made, because everyone's like, well, you just, it's like saying you're sorry and then doing the same thing. I'm like, well, you weren't sorry. You just turned around and redid it again.
Right.
So Dana on Facebook says, you ladies are having fun.
Too much.
We always have fun, Dana. You know that. Dana's going to come
May
have
the
fun with us next time.
4th, May the 4th. Well, we're extra feisty.
I know. We're just tired. I'm drinking water. I haven't had my caffeine.
I have my second cup right here.
But shut your mouth. For those of you guys that don't follow me personally on Facebook, I'm doing that 75 hard challenge. So I cannot have alcohol. So I'm going to bed early. I'm getting a lot more sleep because I'm not staying up having wine nights. But I've got my big tumbler of my You're Not For Everyone tumbler of water going here. So we'll see. It's keeping me hydrated. That's what we're doing. Getting the brain working. But it does get the brain working. So I'm pretty on point, I feel like, with the comments today.
Yes, you are. And you just made another really good, even subliminal comment of you're not for everyone, but you can be for everyone. It goes back to being relatable.
It does. Well, it's true, because that's the whole premise of the book I don't want anybody to be somebody other than they are. Yep. Like, I want you to be your authentic self. I want you to just show up the way you want to show up, whatever it is. I'm not going to judge. But the thing is, just be you. Be your best you and be you. But that does not give you the right to judge other people. And I feel like the comparison game, we've done an episode on the comparison game before. Yeah. The comparison game is where we all get a little wonky. It's where that's what's happened is she would have been fine had she not compared herself to anybody else.
Exactly.
Or had she not, made, and all right, so kindness and avoiding the comparison game. Had Rachel not compared herself to Harriet Tubman or Oprah Winfrey or Frida, whoever, anybody, had she not compared herself, that would have got her out of trouble.
Yes.
But the other thing is kindness. And I'm not saying she's unkind, but if you have a housekeeper or somebody that comes, ask them what they want to be. I'm going to guess they don't want to be called the lady that cleans my toilets.
Yep.
If they do, cool. And if that's what the person that said, call me that, then great. She had every right to say that. But, you've got to be kind in how you're showing up for other people and how you're treating them and how you refer to them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, those two, it seems so simple, but you're right. Those 2 points, and we wouldn't be having this podcast this morning about this particular topic because I just don't think she would have gotten as much backlash. And
I hate that because, this is the thing we all have to remember. And obviously, Rachel has a very large platform. But the thing we all have to remember is everything we're doing now and saying and everything it's not all recorded, but a lot of it is because we're putting it out there. I mean, I put stuff out there all the time. And do people misinterpret things? For sure. Absolutely. And, I try to apologize if they do. But it's, that was the premise of her book is Girls Stop Apologizing. Well, the book meant stop apologizing for being you. That was the whole premise. That's what the book is about. Don't apologize for being you. But girl had to start apologizing because she offended some people. And if you offend somebody or you do something wrong, then it is time to say, okay, I wasn't as kind as I could have been, or I didn't show up the way I should have.
Yep.
And make some amends.
I mean, the other thing too is, and it feels like something we should know at this point, but she deleted the video, but that on her accounts, but of course it was too late. People had already saved it.
You can't delete things.
You can't. And so you have to remember what you say today, when I'm 34 is going to impact me possibly when I'm 64.
Yes.
What you young students are doing in your 20s that you're posting, as an employer, I'm going to go on and look at that in your, when you're 25 and when you're 30 and when you're applying here, and I'm going to go take a look at it. So it's also making sure, and this as much as a personal thing as it is a marketing thing, don't say something today that's going to negate your future.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just be nice.
Yeah.
It should be really that simple. Because, for my age, people in their 40s, 50s that did not grow up with social media or iPhones with cameras, we got away with a lot of stuff.
Right, yes.
And so we just seem to think that we can still get away with it. I would hate to, and I've said this before, I would hate to be growing up right now. I really would. I really would. And we actually Matt and I talked about doing an episode on this, on kids, on would you have kids today? Because that may be one we do in the future, but because we had that conversation, it's scary growing up today. Like all the bonehead things we did growing up, they weren't captured on social.
Right.
All the comments I made about people, whether they slipped out or whether I made them intentionally or whatever, they weren't broadcast for everybody to see. Right. So we've got to assume that everything is under scrutiny right now.
Well, it's also,
they're tracking us. Y'all know that, right?
Oh yeah. And it's like the thing where you're talking about shoes, and now my phone is right here, so it's listening, and I will see shoe ads for the next 2 or 3 days. It's also hard to fight an enemy that is anonymous, which is what
boom. Okay.
That's a lot of what's happening too.
Dropping bombs out here.
No.
But
Whitney, the fourth is with me today.
The fourth is with me. Thank you. So you said this earlier, Kristen. The commenter to Rachel does not know Rachel.
Correct.
We do not know Rachel.
Correct.
Vice versa to Rachel and the commenter.
Right.
There's also bogus accounts out. Like I'm thinking about having kids in this current time. There's bogus accounts out there where people are commenting and sending messages and making threats, and you didn't have that.
Yep.
Pre-Facebook. What? The worst you could do is call.
Yep.
Say something in the, as your refrigerator running, and hang up. And even then I could *69.
I remember *69. You could see who called. Well, now, I've just said they are tracking. I know, it's so scary. Like, they know where we are. They know, like, all this stuff. And so we've got the tracking, and we've got people making comments that we don't know. I mean, it's anonymous. It's a world where everything is anonymous but us. People know who we are, meaning like the
Yeah.
stuff you put out there isn't anonymous. And that's important. That's so hard to teach teenagers these days now. Like my youngest is like, I want to get social media. I'm like, oh, no. Because, I mean, seriously. And I've seen younger kids. I've seen kids like that are younger than mine, like 12, 13, get on social. And I'm like, oh, no, you shouldn't be posting this. And it's so hard to teach them because it is. We think we're anonymous and we're not.
Yeah.
But then the people commenting and people that can say, my 16-year-old gets DMs from random strangers.
Yep.
And it's, you know, and these are like 30 and 40-year-old men. Now, she doesn't respond and, you know, she's very mature. But you guys, there's just, everybody thinks they can do anything because they're hiding behind the screen. And, you know, like I said, I'm not faulting Rachel. I'm not faulting the commenter. It's more just, it's the discussion around it is like, you've got to understand that all of us are going to slip up and say something. Good Lord, the fact I haven't been, actually I have. I've slipped up and said stuff that I received feedback for. And, you know, if I screwed up and said something wrong, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, that's key. And again, having that plan where you are taking a look and examining something before you post it, or to your point, have multiple people read it. Or if you're upset about something, do like the email thing, like write the email, but don't hit send. Record the video, but don't hit post. Like, wait a minute, or re-listen to it, come back at it from another frame of mind.
Yep.
The other thing I heard is I watched the video because there was a psychologist talking about it that first of all, he saw the first video and then he was for her, right? Like, oh yeah, she should be doing what she did. She was right. And then she went back and realized that I think a lot of it, she had too much noise going through the whole commenting from the first post. And then kind of like what you say, Kristen, is that she didn't have a circle sort of to like bounce that response back.
Right. And I think the circle is important because we've talked about that, the importance of having your circle and your tribe. And, you know, I call them, the way I've described it, and I've talked about it on the show, is I kind of group people into 3 categories: grasp, grow, and group. And grasp are my inner circle. They're the ones like I hold on to. Grow are the people I'm building relationships with. Group are like, you know, they're friends, they're acquaintances. We usually get together in groups. Okay, those are my 3 groups. My grasp group, my inner circle, which is uber small, like as big of a personality as people seem to think I am. That's just because I'm loud. My inner circle is super small. It's 5-6 people, not counting family, but 5-6 people. And we have to really look at that. Those are the people that you listen to when they say, Kristen, you should not change that post, take that down. And I had that happen probably, I guess it's been now 6 years. Went through a horrific breakup, not my divorce, a really, really bad breakup. And I was just crushed and devastated. It was the worst, just the worst. And I had posted, as we do, to get our emotions out. I had posted a few things. And they weren't blast. This, you know, my ex-boyfriend is not on social, so I wasn't tagging him or anything. I just was posting some thoughts and some feels. And some of the people in my grasp group called me like, you have got to take, that is so not you. You've got to take that down. I know that's not what you intended, but it's not coming across the way you are. And so I took it down. And it's just, you've got to have that circle to tell you this is not okay, or you need to apologize for that. You don't need to apologize if random strangers are telling you, but if your people are saying, all right, Rachel, you got to hit this off. You've got to listen to them.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, you know, look at it as, is this something I should say to the inner group or something I should post on social? Like,
for sure.
The interesting thing with that of Rachel saying she doesn't want to be relatable, she, in a way, did, because otherwise she wouldn't have posted that. I think what she wanted, which is typically what she usually gets, which is, yes, girl, I do get up at 4 a.m. Yes, it is hard. Yes, I had to do this, and I've been doing this. I think that's what she wanted. I feel like that's what she thought she was sparking.
Right.
With like, where are all my girls at who have done X, Y, Z?
Right.
That was different, so that they could, what is the Dave Ramsey quote? Like, live different so you can live different, or what the heck ever he says.
Yeah.
But I think that's what she was trying to do with that. So in essence, she was trying to be relatable.
Yep.
And the whole thing just blew up. So there are some things.
But then if it blows up, then immediately say, look,
Exactly.
I screwed up.
Yes.
This did not come out the way. Here's what I meant. I totally get this what I said,
Yes.
but here's what I meant. Show me some grace.
And in her case, that would have been better than deleting it.
Because that's her, yes.
Because she's already at such an influencer level.
Right.
Deleting it didn't matter because somebody else has already saved
had it. Yeah.
She should have left it up and said, this video, or take it down and acknowledge the fact that you took it down and why.
For sure.
Like, you've got to do one or the other.
Well, and I've always been told don't delete things.
Yeah.
You know, this was my faith. That was a personal post, not a business one. But it, you know, I think you just got to own. You got to own your stuff.
Yeah.
Your stuff.
Yeah.
You got to own it.
Or she could have changed the caption. Like, change the caption and then say, I changed the
Right.
caption because I realized XYZ.
Yep. Well, and it's, you know, that's for all of us, whether you're influencer status or not, trying to be influencer status, anything like that. You know, it's just, if we can keep things positive,
Right.
and if we can avoid the comparison game, okay, and if we can be kind and build others up. Because you know what, I don't get up at 4 a.m. to work out. That doesn't make me a bad business person.
Right.
But, and understand that not everybody does it like you. You know, if you choose to have, you know, people come in and, you know, help you clean your home or take care of your kids, fantastic. If you feel like you want to do that yourself, fantastic. Whatever it is, let people be them and be supportive. But I think it's the comparison that's getting us in trouble. And I will say, and like I said, I don't know the commenter at all. And I don't know half the people that comment on my stuff too. And, you know, sometimes that's where the tribe comes in. Sometimes I'm like, what? It's really? And, you know, I'll call or text somebody and like, did you see this? And there, you know, then it kind of puts it in perspective. Because if you don't know somebody, you don't know what kind of day they had. Maybe they had a cruddy day and they just took it out on you.
Right.
I remember that one time I was living in St. Louis. So it had to been, oh goodness, that would have been like early 2000s. And I distinctly remember this. I don't know why it's etched in my mind. I had an appointment somewhere. I was on the phone with somebody and there was like a doctor's office or whatever. And I just had a awful day. And I just reamed this girl, which is so out of character for me. Like, I don't normally ream people out unless I gave birth to them. So I just I wasn't cussing, but I just was rude. I just was a jerk. And I got off the phone and I felt awful because I'm like, that is so not me. I don't yell at people and fuss at random strangers.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be different if it's my people, but random strangers, I called her back and apologized. And I said, you know what? I need to apologize. I'm having a really awful day. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. And I shouldn't have taken it out on you. And I felt so much better. And that was, 15, 16 years ago. And I still remember that.
Yeah.
Because it just was like so out of character. But then we go on, and that was a phone call. That was somebody I'd had a conversation with. But then we go online and we do the same thing. Mm-hmm. We yell at people. We don't, you know. So I'm coming into both. I'm coming into Rachel and the commenter and all the people that piled on. It's like, oh, a train wreck. Let me pile onto this.
Yeah.
You guys stop. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think you have to look at kind of the meaning and the intention behind what she said. Mm-hmm. And I don't know her intention because I don't know her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't know her and you don't know her intention, I mean, I get it. She's put herself in that spotlight. And when I get that big, I'm pretty sure I'm going to screw up and say something too, but my inner people are going to call me and I'll apologize for it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 100%. And you'll have us. I mean, we're pretty cool.
I know y'all are pretty cool. Oh, boy, I know. Y'all are my peoples.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other part of one of the articles was talking about, and I don't know how they get this information. I guess they talk to the employees. But there were some comments in there where they were saying that Rachel the boss, there was a huge gap between Rachel the boss and Rachel the influencer. So that's what tipped me off of to like.
Oh, I didn't read that. Okay.
Some other things.
I'm going to need to read and verify that article.
Okay. Yeah, it's down at the bottom. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know if I'm like, how did you figure that out? You just call up her employees and ask. Maybe they did.
Well, and here's the thing. There's always going to be happy employees and there's always going to be, you own a company. There are always going to be happy people and there's going to be disgruntled people. And the disgruntled people, they can be toxic to the culture. I'm really big. I coach a lot of my private clients who, have some toxic people in their work environment. Like, you got to get rid of the toxicity because it will spread. But it spreads online.
Yep.
It's the same thing. So look, you and I did a show on this. Look for the positive. I mean, there's not enough positivity. and just quit looking for ways to pick people apart.
I feel like we should have like Kristen's rules of life.
I have them. I've been posting
print them out on all
I
lines.
have been
Think before you speak.
If you guys follow me on
nice.
on the Instagrams, if you're not, I'm at Andre Group with 2 E's. I'm posting, and I wrote it and I published it last year. It's on my LinkedIn profile too. So for those of you guys watching on LinkedIn, it's on my profile. 50 things I learned in 50 years. And I promise you, if you read through those 50, most of these things are in there about being kind and, just all this stuff. Because
what did Dana Bear used to say? Don't be stupid. I feel like I have a mug somewhere that was like, it literally said on there, like, don't be stupid.
It's true, but we don't, for some reason, and again, I didn't grow up with social. I did my stupid things in private. When at the roller skating rink, that's what we did in the 80s,
exactly.
right? So it was, but I don't know. And I don't know, I won't say that people were kinder back then, because I'm sure they were probably as just me. Now there's just a platform for people to be, and it is. The anonymous quote, when you said that about being anonymous, you're dealing with anonymous people. That's so, the word, I'd never really, I've thought about it, but when you said it that way, I'm like, man, that's true. Because all these people are anonymous. And I hope that she takes that. And I hope she realizes, and only she knows her heart. Her and God know her heart. I don't know what's on her heart.
Yeah.
But, all of us are coming from different places. So we've got to allow some grace, allow some kindness and all this stuff.
That's probably a whole nother episode because that went under attack too, her religious beliefs after all this, and people were claiming that she was a fake Christian and stuff like that.
All right. We will do
just because I know Jesus doesn't mean I'm not gonna.
We will do an episode on that, but let me just be clear. Christians show up all different ways, and last I checked, the people making that judgment weren't God.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if you know what, unless you are, and I have a shirt that a friend of mine got me. And what's funny, I don't actually cuss a lot unless I'm really mad at the kids. It's so sad.
Does it say I love Jesus?
It says I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. And I have a pair of socks that said the same thing that my mom got me. I'm like, really? What is this? But it's true. So I think you can't. We're going to do an episode on that because I'm a strong Christian. I'm not shy about saying that or anything, but I don't show up the way other Christians show up, and they don't show up the same way as me. And it's not for any of us to judge. And one of my favorite quotes around that is, don't judge me just because I sin different than you. And so we're going to do an episode on that for sure. But it's I don't think you guys can't attack her Christianity because she made a post that she didn't want to be relatable. Come on now.
Yep.
Quit playing God.
That was happening.
And I'm sorry for that. I hate that for her because she does seem like an empathic person, and like she's gonna feel like we feel this. Like I don't see all the negative stuff. And sometimes when I miss negative comments, my friends will text me and point them out. Did you see this? I'm like, well, I didn't, but I do now. So thanks for that.
And maybe that is the bow. Is that the right word? The bow on the conversation is even when you have the best of intentions in the public eye, which again, we all are, just different levels.
Yes.
We're not Rachel Hollis level, but
anybody that is
accounts.
on social media is on the public eye. Yes.
Even when you have the best of intention, you have to realize that people are going to look for the worst. And to your point, they're going to take it out of context and things like that. So,
and I need y'all to stop doing that because it's really annoying.
It is. Yeah. It is. But then it also goes back to which I feel like we preach to use a pun, if I may, on this show of you do you, and you have to be comfortable enough in yourself to know that. You have to be comfortable enough in what you say and who you are and in your people to realize if somebody comes at you with no foundation at all, then it's just that.
Then it's an attack and it has nothing to do with you. So know what you're saying, know what you're doing, know your heart, but you can't judge other people.
Yeah.
So I would say, to put our little bow in it, it's the biggest things I want people to take away from this whole thing. And if you haven't read up on it, because, I'm big on doing your independent research. Yes. Don't take our word for it because, I hadn't had enough caffeine. But go look it up because it was a very interesting story to me and how much it blew. But it's just to think that somebody could kind of, I mean, it takes one thing to tear people down. It takes a million steps to get all the way to where, people want to be. And there's no top. You can keep going. It takes millions of steps and millions of actions. And one little thing is like, boom, 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 back down the mountain.
Takes you twice as much to climb back up.
But I can tell you something. If you quit comparing yourself to people, don't play the comparison game. And if you really work on kindness and helping others, genuine, not fake kindness, genuine kindness and helping others, you're not going to get knocked back down the mountain. Mm-hmm. You'll stay, and you'll keep climbing. Yeah. Which is kind of what most people want to do anyway.
Yep.
Cool. I like it.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, Miss Mendoza.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all the places. We've got a lot of cameras around here. So we will be back again next week with another episode of Renew. We will be live as we are every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So we will see you then. And until then, make it a great week.